Introduction: Japan's mysterious moon princess. Welcome to today's exploration of one of Japan's most fascinating mysteries. The legend of Princess Kaguya. In the tale of the bamboo cutter, or Takatori Monogatari, we hear the story of a radiant woman who did not belong to this world. A woman said to have come from the moon. This tale is often called Japan's oldest work of fiction. But some believe it is more than just a fairy tale. Could it be an ancient record of contact between humans and extraterrestrial visitors? Let's begin with the story itself. The tale of the bamboo cutter. One day, a bamboo cutter found a glowing stalk deep in the forest. Inside the bamboo, he discovered a tiny girl no bigger than his hand. He and his wife raised her, and she grew rapidly into a woman of extraordinary beauty. As word spread, noblemen and princes from across the land sought her hand in marriage. But Princess Kaguya gave each suitor an impossible task. Retrieve the jeweled branch of Mount Horai. Bring back the stone bowl of the Buddha. Obtain the robe of the fire rat. Find the jewel from a dragon's neck. Or deliver the shell of a swallow. Every man failed, and the princess remained beyond their reach. Even the emperor himself fell in love with her. But she refused him as well. Because Kaguya was not meant to stay on Earth. In the final act of the story, a radiant procession descends from the sky. Beings clad in brilliant robes come to take her back to the moon. Kaguya bids farewell to the emperor, her family, and the people of Earth. And she returns to the heavens. This is the story as it appears in the ancient text. But let us now consider a different possibility. What if Kaguya was not a simple character from folklore? What if she was, in fact, a visitor from another world? The alien theory of Princess Kaguya. If we look closer at the story of Princess Kaguya, we find elements that sound strikingly similar to accounts of extraterrestrial encounters. Let us begin with the moment of her discovery. She appears inside a glowing stalk of bamboo. But what if this was not bamboo at all? What if the ancient storyteller was describing something he could not fully understand? Imagine a small capsule landing from the sky. A shining pod that opens to reveal a tiny, radiant being. To the eyes of a 10th century villager, the closest image might have been a glowing bamboo. This is what some researchers call the capsule theory. That Princess Kaguya's origin was not a plant, but technology. A space pod, described in the language of the time. Next, consider the impossible trials she gave to her suitors. Each task required objects that were legendary, unattainable, or divine. Could these challenges have been a way to measure human potential? Perhaps Kaguya was testing whether Earth's people had reached a level of civilization advanced enough to be her equal. The jeweled branch from Mount Horai. A bowl once used by the Buddha himself. The fur of a mythical fire rat. A jewel guarded by a dragon. And the shell of a swallow. These may not have been literal objects. Instead, they could symbolize resources or technologies far beyond human reach. When no man could succeed, it became clear that humanity was not ready. The princess would not marry. She would not remain. Because her destiny was tied to another world. Now, let us move to the climax of the tale. The night the moon beings descended. Ancient texts describe a procession of shining figures. They arrive on clouds of light. The villagers could only watch in awe and terror. But to our modern imagination, this scene could describe a spacecraft landing. A glowing vessel descending through the night sky. Figures in luminous clothing could easily be astronauts in suits. The robe of light that covers Kaguya may not be divine silk. It could be protective gear, designed to shield her from Earth's atmosphere before returning to her home. When she ascends back to the heavens, the imagery is unmistakable. She rises, surrounded by light, disappearing into the sky. It is almost as if the storyteller was watching a spacecraft take off. Could this be coincidence? Or was the tale of the bamboo cutter a poetic record of an actual event? Many ancient legends around the world speak of visitors from the sky. Japan is not unique in this regard. And when we compare Kaguya's story to myths from other cultures, the similarities become even more striking. Parallels in world mythology. Now, let us step beyond Japan and explore how other civilizations also told stories of beings who came from the sky. First, the Maya civilization of Central America. The Maya were skilled astronomers who carefully observed the stars and planets. Their myths describe powerful gods descending from the heavens, bringing knowledge and technology. Some accounts even suggest that these gods came in vehicles of light. One striking example is the figure of Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god who was said to descend from the sky. At the Great Pyramid of Chichen Itza, during the equinox, a serpent-shaped shadow appears to slither down the steps. This was seen as Kukulkan returning from the heavens to the people. To some modern interpreters, this is more than symbolic. They argue that the Maya were describing encounters with beings who descended from above, much like Princess Kaguya's celestial visitors. Now, let us turn to India. In the ancient Sanskrit epics, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, there are countless references to flying machines called vimanas. These vimanas were said to soar across the skies. Some were shaped like chariots, others like spheres, and they were described as capable of great speed and power. They carried warriors, kings, and sometimes even gods. What is most fascinating is the level of technical detail. The texts describe propulsion, weapons of fire, and battles fought in the sky. Some descriptions sound eerily close to modern concepts of aircraft and even nuclear weapons. If we consider these stories not as fantasy, but as distant memories of contact with advanced beings, the parallels with the story of Kaguya become clear. A radiant being descends from the sky. She lives among humans for a time, but eventually returns to the heavens in a dazzling craft. This narrative is echoed in cultures oceans apart. We see it in the Maya with Kukulkan, in India with the Vimanas, and in Japan with Princess Kaguya. Different continents, different traditions, but the same archetype. And so we must ask, why do these stories appear again and again across the globe? Is it mere coincidence? Or are they fragments of a shared human memory? Memories of encounters with beings who came from the stars? If that is the case, then perhaps Princess Kaguya was not alone. Perhaps ancient Japan, like many civilizations, experienced moments of contact with the unknown. Conclusion, myth or mystery? We now arrive at the conclusion of our journey. The story of Princess Kaguya is one of the oldest and most cherished tales in Japan. But when we look at it through the lens of mystery, it transforms into something far more intriguing. Could she have been an extraterrestrial visitor? The glowing bamboo stalk, the impossible trials, the celestial beings descending in radiant garments, and the final ascent back to the moon. Each element mirrors descriptions of contact with advanced beings. Of course, we must acknowledge that these are interpretations. Legends evolve, and storytellers embellish. It is possible that the tale is simply a poetic reflection of human imagination. A story of longing, loss, and the unreachable beauty of the moon. But if we accept even the possibility that myths may hold memories of real encounters, then Kaguya's tale joins a larger tapestry. The Maya spoke of gods descending on serpents of light. The Indians told of vimanas flying across the heavens. And in Japan, a princess from the moon walked among humans. Different lands, different words, but perhaps the same truth. If these myths were indeed inspired by visitors from beyond the stars, what might that say about humanity's place in the universe? Are we truly alone? Or have we always been part of a much larger cosmic community, one that occasionally reveals itself through myth and legend? Princess Kaguya's story leaves us with more questions than answers. But perhaps that is the point. Legends endure because they ignite our imagination. They remind us that the line between history and mystery is thinner than we think. So the next time you look at the moon, imagine that somewhere, long ago, a princess returned home to her people among the stars. Was she a myth? Or was she something more? That, my friends, remains one of Japan's greatest mysteries. And perhaps, one day, we will finally learn the truth.